My name is Karl Soule,
And I'm Niels Stevens.
and for the next half hour or so, we are going to be talking about a new collaborative service, a hosted service, which we are previewing here at IBC for pretty much the first time. This is something new called Team Projects, and Team Projects works with Adobe Premiere Pro, After Effects, and Adobe Prelude. And this enables you to collaborate with other editors. It lets motion graphic artists collaborate together. And even better, it lets editors and motion graphics people work together seamlessly in a single project, which is actually hosted online, so people can actually work over distances. Now, this will work within a facility if you have shared storage and people are accessing the same media. It will also work in situations where you have people working remotely that have a copy of the media. And you can use services in the cloud, things like Dropbox, or you can use even your Creative Cloud folder to share files back and forth. As long as both people editing have a copy of the media, the cloud is used for synchronizing the project information. So any changes made to a sequence or to a composition sync up through the cloud, and people can work remotely over long distances. Now, you may have seen something from Adobe in the past, something called Adobe Anywhere. Anywhere is still an active product from Adobe. It's an enterprise class solution where you install servers on-premise in your facility, and we're up to version
3.2 now, I think.
3.2 of Adobe Anywhere. So this has been used in a lot of high-end broadcasting facilities. It's been used in higher education.
Yeah, across the board, really.
So we've been learning about collaborative workflows using Adobe Anywhere for the last few years, and some of what you'll see in team projects may look a little familiar if you've seen Adobe Anywhere before, but we want to stress that this is not something that you have to buy and install into your facility. This is all hosted in the cloud, so there's no additional on-premise hardware necessary to use team projects. Now, I'm going to get started in Adobe Premiere. I am logged into my Creative Cloud account, and you'll notice from the login screen, I can still create a new local project. I can still work in the same way. This will be the the new shipping version of Premiere at some point. You can see I have, in addition to a regular project, I can also create a new team project. And I'm going to go ahead and get started by clicking on New Team Project. Just to show you, creating a team project in Premiere Pro, it's pretty much the same as creating a local project, with one important addition. I can add collaborators. If I know their Adobe ID, I can click on Edit and I can add different people to a team project. The other big difference is that the team project is database driven. So as you're working in the team project, whatever you have done in your project is actually being stored in the cloud. Each and every step that you're making is actually being sent up to the cloud. So if something happens to your local machine, if you move to another machine, sign into your Creative Cloud account and open up your team project there, you'll be in the same state that you were when you lost whatever you were doing on your other computer. So you have a lot of sense of redundancy. You can move to another workstation and just pick up where you left off. Nothing gets lost because it's all hosted in the cloud. Now, rather than creating a new team project from scratch, I'm actually going to open a local project. I've got this promo I've been working on called Guatemala Tuesday, and in a lot of cases, people will want to start off working just by themselves and then realize, I could use some help with this. I know Niels. I can start collaborating with him even if he's off in a different part of the world. As long as he has the same footage on his machine, we can actually start to collaborate together. So what I'm going to do is convert this local project to a team project. And you can see that this is Team Projects is deeply integrated into the Adobe desktop applications. So I can just go ahead and click Convert Project to Team Project. And the only thing I have to do at this point is add Niels to the list of collaborators. .com, and click Invite. And now I can create this team project. Now, even though at this point I have invited Niels to collaborate together on this particular team project, I can continue to sort of work inside of what we call our protected sandbox. So you can see this is working inside of a team project. It looks almost identical to what I had just a few minutes ago, except now you'll notice that I have a series of icons here. Here you can see that I'm the owner of this team project, and Niels, since he hasn't accepted yet, I'm just getting a blank icon here. But I know that he's been invited, and as soon as that icon goes live with his picture, I'll know that he's accepted and he's begun collaborating on this particular project. Now, if Niels were to open this up right now, he would just get an empty project because I haven't shared anything. This is sort of a safety net that we put into team projects so that you can kind of get things to a point where you're ready to let other people see it. In a lot of cases, we do some really crazy experimental things. We don't want someone kind of bursting in and seeing what's going on at that particular point in time. Where it's like, what are you thinking? It's like, I'm experimenting. Leave me alone. I'm in a creative process. But when I'm ready to share where I am, I can just click this little button down here at the bottom of my team project called Share My Changes. And at this point, I can make a comment and click Share. And at this point, everything is going up to the cloud, or the project file. No media actually has to go up to the cloud. Everything is secure as far as my media is concerned. But the edit that I've created here is now flying up to the cloud, over to Niels, and I'll turn things over to him at this point.
Thanks, Karl. So if we can go to my desktop, great. So what you're seeing now is me running Premiere Pro and also the Creative Cloud desktop application, which is kind of the dashboard of the Creative Cloud experience. Now, Creative Cloud has been around for 3 or 4 years, and in that time, it was really developed as a platform for delivering the latest innovation and updates on a much more regular basis to users. But it's become so much more than that. So my identity, the sense of who I'm logged in as in the Creative Cloud, governs so much of my user experience, from the way I've set up my applications to the way I've stored my assets, any lightweight digital assets in the Creative Cloud storage. We also have a feature called Libraries, which I'll show you a little of in a little while, which is just a clever way to handle some lightweight digital assets inside all of the desktop and mobile applications as well. So again, because I'm signed in as me, the system knows I have an invite I've received from Karl, and I can see that both inside the Creative Cloud desktop app and inside Premiere over here. I'm going to go ahead and accept that, and then I will be part of Karl's Guatemala Tuesday team project. There it is. I'll go ahead and open that. And what the system's doing now is making sure it's reconciled all of the latest changes that Karl has made inside his version of the project. So obviously we're standing next to each other on stage here, but we're illustrating what could be a very remote workflow, because all of his project data is synchronizing with our cloud, and I'm making sure that as soon as I've signed in, I'm seeing the very latest version of the truth of the sequences that he's cut. So here we are. That's now opened up. So if I go ahead and launch that sequence, obviously we talked a little bit about some of the media synchronization options, and we can drill a little deeper into that, but what I'm seeing essentially is the latest version of the sequence that Karl has cut. So we can collaborate on this now. So what I'm going to go in and do here is, we've got some captions here, but this caption file has been created as one single lump, and there's actually 2 individual titles in there. So just for ease of use, I'm going to go in and cut some of that up, just so I can actually see where those captions start. Highlight that. And I might start to do some color work as well. So here we are. This shot here of the sky, this looks a bit kind of flat and drab. So what I'm going to do is open up the Lumetri color effects panel, and I can look through some of our preset creative looks that we have here. We have a ton available. A lot of these came across from SpeedGrade, the speed looks. So I'm looking for that sky to be a little bit more kind of blue. So why don't we go with blue intent? If I highlight the clip, let's try that again.
It's the blue. It's the blue layer of the timeline. Yeah.
This is too deep now.
There
this
we.
timeline.
There it is.
There we are. Okay.
Now, while Niels
Why
is
not
doing
blue
this,
steel?
I'm
There we
actually
are.
going to go and get a cup of coffee, and I'm not even going to be at my
I have
computer, but I'll still know when he's finished and wants to collaborate some more.
Okay. So I have begun to exercise my creative muse. I have added some color looks and also tweaked the titles. I'm going to go ahead and share those changes. Now, until I share them, I have, as Karl said, been operating in my own sandbox. So this is how two users can actually collaborate side by side with one another. So when I've gone and shared those changes, essentially that's now reconciled back into the system. And what happens is, if we go across to Karl's system, I should be able to see that some of those changes have now been reflected for him.
So over on my system, I'm not actually even at my computer. You know, I worked all night on that 60-second promo, and I want to see, I want to go get a cup of coffee, and I'm waiting to hear back from Niels. And, oh, wait a minute. You see what that says right there?
Can't without my glasses.
I have trouble without my glasses either, but Niels Stevens has shared changes to the Guatemala Tuesday project. So using Creative Cloud notifications, if I have some kind of smart device, I'll actually get a notification when those changes have been pushed live. Now, when I'm working within the application, I might want to have notifications turned off. I want to stay focused. So within the application itself, there's just a simple indicator. This Get Latest Changes button comes up on the screen, becomes active. So it's an inobtrusive way of letting me know that Niels has made those changes. But if I need to know and I'm away from my computer, Creative Cloud notifications will let me know when there's a change made to the team project. I can get back and I can take a look at it. So let's go ahead and get Niels' changes. Go ahead and get the latest version of this. And one other thing that you might notice that's been going on here is Niels is actually working on a Windows machine and I'm working on a Mac. And yet there's no pathing issues that we have to deal with. Whenever you have a member of you're collaborating with, you can actually set up different mounting points. So on different machines, you might have your footage in different locations. We can actually set that up within the media management panel. So the very first time Niels and I collaborated, I sent him a sequence, and I had put all my media in my Soule user folder, which of course doesn't exist on Niels' system. He went in and actually added the same folder in his N. Stevens user folder. And so he just added that media mapping, everything lined up, and it stays lined up, even moving forward with additional projects that we've been working on. We've been making these projects every single day. We've never seen a media offline message ever. And if you guys have ever worked in a cross-platform house where you have to deal with Windows and Mac, the path can never be the same. And traditionally, that's always a pain point where people have to deal with media offline and relinking media and changing pathing. So Team Projects actually takes care of all of that under the hood for you. All right. I'm going to, I like what you've done with the color.
Oh, thank you, sir.
I really want to go in and do a little bit of additional work on the ending of this. The ending, the black is kind of, it takes forever for this to fade out at the end here. So I'm just going to kind of select that, go into the effect controls. Let's really tighten that up so that it's more of a quick fade to black. And I want to change the timing a little bit here. Let's take a look at this now. Got the flash to white. There's the color work you did. And that kind of fades out as it goes. Perfect. That's exactly what I want to do. All right, I'm ready to share those changes. And I now see that Niels has been working at the same time that I'm working. And both of these buttons are lit up at the same time. Now, I don't know of any other collaborative system in the world that lets two people actually be editing the same sequence at the same time. The majority of the workflows today involve locking things down, creating something where you can only open it in a read-only mode or make a branch of it at that point. With team projects, you can actually have two people editing a sequence together, and there's a way of doing conflict resolution when you're ready to share those changes and combine those different changes and resolve them together. So what I'm going to do here is click on my, I'm going to try and share my changes, and it says, oh, well, there's already somebody else has shared changes up until this point. Let's get those changes and kind of combine them together and see if there are any conflicts. So I'm seeing right now that there is some kind of a conflict happening here. It's giving me a conflict resolution screen. So now if you work in a situation where somebody is the editor of record and you have a number of assistants, maybe you want to, you know right away, oh, I should take the shared version because the main editor is pushing something out, let's get that, and we'll just kind of ignore what I've been working on at this point. But the safest thing to do and the most visual way of checking these changes is you can create a branch at this point. That's exactly what I'm going to do, is to say, let's create a branch in my production. And by doing this, this will go through and resolve all the changes. I can see all conflicts were successfully resolved. I can click OK on this, push my changes out at this point. And now we actually have two different versions of the sequence. So I can have one sequence open here, another one open in my source monitor. So let's just open this in the source monitor. And something you can do inside of Premiere, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, it's possible to actually see both sequences at the same time by stacking the source monitor sequence and the program monitor sequence up next to each other like this. You can actually come in and visually compare the two sequences and scrub through each of them, visually compare which one you want to keep, and then delete the one that you don't want to move forward with. So it's a really nice visual way of picking between different sequences that you might be working on. Niels?
Thanks, Karl. So if we go back over to my desktop, so Karl and I, we don't talk as much as we should anymore. You know, we live 6,000 miles apart. We live 8 hours of time zone apart. We've kind of lost track of who was doing what on this a little bit, really, because while he's been tweaking that edit and working with the length of that tail section, I've been adding in an Adobe bug here using the libraries function. So I mentioned that libraries is the way to get access to all of the routine day-to-day lightweight digital assets that you use within any of our applications. So the libraries panel will come up in Photoshop, Premiere, After Effects, wherever, and of course on all of our mobile apps as well. It's also the window into our stock service as well. So if I need some library material, for instance related to Guatemala, that I just want to add some further video footage because I didn't shoot enough, we can go in there and you can also use our stock footage to begin to add to that as well. But what I used this for was to add the Adobe bug there. But I've kind of lost track of where Karl got to with this and where I got to, and we're kind of a bit confused as to where we're going with this thing. So we have an amazing get out of jail free card in the form of what we call, if I zoom into it, get rid of the magnifier, the toggle team project history slider. So if I click on that, what I can actually do is take this production, so what day is it today? Tuesday. I can roll back the production to any version that was checked in, right back to its inception when Karl created this at 11:01 earlier today, and I can see exactly who did what and when. So Karl created the team project first. That second check-in, there was a sequence created. I went in and added some color looks and tweaked the titles. More recently I added the Adobe bug, and here we are with this final version. So I can go in and I can retrieve any copy of a sequence or title or any piece of work that I did right back to the beginning of the creation of that sequence. So if I prefer the way this looked a week ago Tuesday, I always have that saved. You can never erase anything. You always have total conflict resolution and reconciliation and the ability to turn back time. Now, Karl also mentioned that After Effects is a first-class citizen in the world of team projects, so we can share not just clips, titles, and sequences from Premiere and Prelude, but also After Effects composition work as well. So Karl's been working on something over here, so why don't we switch back to his desktop and have a look at that.
All right, thank you, Niels. So here I am in Adobe After Effects, and this is an important thing to realize about team projects. The old way of working, I have to manage the Premiere Pro project and the After Effects project separately. Those are two separate project files. And so when it comes time to do archival and things like that, you have to deal with the fact you have to manage the After Effects project. The Premiere project are two individual project files. This is one team project that can contain Premiere sequences and After Effects compositions that all live in the cloud. So it's much, much easier from a management perspective, and it just makes it very, very easy to move back and forth between the applications. Here I am inside of After Effects. I've been kind of looking at it, and I can play the Premiere Pro sequence, actually shows up as a video clip here in After Effects. so I can go through and play this back very smoothly using the new player engine inside of After Effects. I've picked out one clip inside of my footage here that I decided we need to make a few modifications to. I like this shot of the kids playing football in the rain, but the rain really isn't as dramatic as I would like it. So I've started the process of making a new After Effects composition. And one of the things After Effects does really, really well, there's some particle effects. Do a rainfall simulator. We can just kind of throw that on the top here. Let's play that back and take a look at it. That looks a little bit more dramatic at this point. I could stack some additional effects in here, like some of the new GPU accelerated effects like hue saturation. Kind of throw that on there, maybe boost the saturation just a touch. And if I go back to my rainfall effect, let's slow the rain down a little bit, kind of match the footage. And maybe a little bit more rain just to really, really make those kids suffer. And so now you can see we've made a significant change. It's kind of gone from, just a light rain to a very heavy rain, just kind of increased the drama here. I want to share that with Niels. I don't have to render this to a video clip. I don't have to create a project file and share the project file. All I have to do is hit the Share My Changes button that you see here and just add a bad joke to my comments, making it rain. Okay, hit share. And at that point, we're in a situation where Niels can now get the latest changes, and I'll let Niels go ahead and talk about what's happening on his system.
Thanks, Karl. So here we are. I'm reconciling and syncing with the cloud server again. When that's done, it's going to pull across the After Effects composition that Karl has made. There we go. It's just about done thinking about that. So when I go ahead and search for that inside my project window over here, I can treat that After Effects comp as if it were just a standard source inside Premiere. So, using the dynamic link function that you guys are probably used to working with, I can actually load up that After Effects comp and have it visible, and I can add it into the active sequence.
I think what's taking a while here is I did make a branch to the project.
Hey, there we
and
are.
by the way, I put the comp in a separate folder for you here called AE comp, so you should be
Great.
able to find that relatively
So I
quickly.
found that. There it is. That's all loaded up. If I go back to the editing workspace. So you can see I see that as a raw Premiere clip with that rain on top playing back in real time. And I haven't even had to open After Effects. That's just a native source that I can go ahead and splice into the sequence now. And using the capsules functionality that we're beginning to work on, we're actually able to expose some of the parameters of After Effects-based comps inside Premiere. For example, if you've got a VFX operator who's built a sophisticated animated lower third for you and you want to go ahead and just change the text and not any of the other parameters, you can actually do that now from right inside Premiere without needing to open After Effects. So you see the synergy and integration that we have between all of our apps held together with the glue of team projects.
Wonderful. So once again, Team Projects, this is a cloud-hosted service that we are previewing here at IBC for the very first time. And this is actually for the very last time for this particular show. Niels and I will be around if you guys have any questions. We do not have any information about when this will become available or any pricing information at this point. But just know that this is a hosted service, no additional hardware necessary at your facility to use this. Only the project data is shared in the cloud, so you don't have to worry about security as far as your footage is concerned. And we're really excited to be bringing this, just a new level of collaboration inside of Premiere Pro, After Effects, and Adobe Prelude. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you.